Okay, and we are live, but we got to let it breathe, y'all, just for a moment. Like that glorious belly on Quinn Miners. We got to let it breathe just for a moment, all right? Bring in the entire family here, including our Facebook clan, and then we'll get this party started. And we're good. Welcome in, everybody, to the Huddle Up podcast, presented, as always, by Mile High Huddle. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest and the deputy editor of milehighhuddle.com, Zack Kelberman. Zack, there's so much to talk about tonight. I mean, of course, the Denver Broncos kicked off phase 2 of their offseason workouts today. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through George Paton making his number 2 hire, and a female who now claims the highest executive role of a female in NFL history as far as the personnel departments go. We're going to get to all that. But first things first, Zack, Broncos had really good attendance, veteran-wise, with the boycott going on and everything. NFLPA putting pressure on the players not to show up. Von Miller showed up, and he's been there throughout because he didn't want to lose that $500,000 bonus. But 75 players, according to Mike Kliss, showed up today. The conspicuous absences were, of course, the NFLPA player rep for the team, which is Brandon McManus. Justin Simmons didn't show up. I'm curious about that, looking for some information there, ear to the floor, checking with people. And then, of course, Teddy Two Gloves. That's right, Teddy Bridgewater, not in attendance, not because he's trying to hold out or anything or boycott, but he's apparently got some personal matters to tidy up. Will be there next week when phase 3 begins and what is technically OTAs begins next week. But what's your reaction? What do you read into Brandon McManus, Justin Simmons? We know what's up with Teddy, so we'll set him aside, not showing up.
Well, Simmons got paid, Chad, so he's checking out now. That's it for Simmons. I'm just kidding about that. It could be something that's going on. It's also voluntary, as far as I know, still, Chad. So there's no mandate to be there right now. And he's also, and I don't blame him for this necessarily, he's witnessed in the span of a couple of weeks 2 of his both former teammates go down with injuries practicing away from the facility or getting ready right now for the season. So it might be related to that. It might be related to something personal. I wouldn't read too much into it. He's the ultimate team player, the ultimate community leader in Denver. So I'm not worried about that. And McManus, he's the union rep. This is his way of siding with the NFLPA and trying to get on the same side. And it's not surprising to me that he's not there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Broncos can survive a mini camp or two, some on-field workouts, because they're not allowed to do any contact drills. They're not allowed to do 11 on 11. I think they can get by without their kicker, but it's still, and being that he's the player rep for the NFLPA, I mean, it's whatever. If their marching orders, J.C. Treader and D. Maurice Smith, their marching orders to the NFLPA team reps are, hey, stay back, hang back, solidarity. Brandon McManus not going to cross that picket line. But Justin Simmons, that kind of disappointed me. Now, maybe there is, similar to the Teddy Two Gloves situation, maybe there's something personal he needed to handle or something like that. But as a young leader on this team and an established, proven vet, now, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Zach, if I recall, now the highest paid safety in the game, right? Not showing up after getting richly and handsomely compensated, it's conspicuous.
Yeah, it is. You know what, though? We had Juwan James play 63 snaps after being made the highest paid right tackle in the league. Then he opted out last season. And after a while, not many people batted an eyelash at that. So I'm going to excuse Simmons' absence for a May 17th practice. If he's not there in July or August, then I'll have cause for concern with Jay Sims.
It was also high goodbye type of moment. The Denver Broncos made a few different roster moves today, including they said goodbye to Ryan Pope. Now, if you guys missed it, he's the 6'9". Was he 8 or 6'8" or 6'9"? Anyway, super tall, former undrafted tackle they signed last week, I believe. So it went Bobby Massey, then it went Pope, Bobby Massey, right?
Right.
And then
Fleming.
Yes, thank you, Cam Fleming. And Pope already out the door. They waived him, and you had the story for us today, Zach, that just published, in fact, a few minutes ago. Who did they sign as a replacement?
Yeah, I'm literally copy editing this right now while we're podcasting, but they signed Cody Conway. He's an undrafted free agent. He was a 33-game starter. As much as I can my research dictates here, at Syracuse, and he was a good pass blocker. He's yet to take a single snap in the NFL, so another developmental type for Mike Munchak. They also brought back, as I referenced right there, Calvin Anderson signed his exclusive rights tender, so he's under contract for this season. It's looking like, of course, the battle for the starting job to replace Juwan James between Bobby Massey and Cam Fleming, but the swing job, the backup jobs between Anderson and now Conway. You have Quinn Bailey in there. You have Drew Himmelman. You have Schlottman. A lot of linemen needing jobs and homes for this season. It's going to make, I think, the final roster better by getting the best of the bunch on the squad.
Also interesting to see that the Broncos moved on from the college free agent linebacker David Curry that was signed right after the draft. I wonder what that was about. Maybe he got there. I don't know. Do you remember that story, Zach, when we were over on 24/7 Sports? We had that story that Utah, Star Lotulele's little brother, right? That they signed him as a college free agent. He showed up to OTAs. It might have been rookie camp, actually.
He retired,
to rookie camp and was like, Bill Collar? Nah, I'm out. Calling it a career. That's it. Hanging up my cleats. I don't know. Now, that was him, kind of going the opposite direction. In this case, the Broncos are actually waiving David Curry, the linebacker. I wonder what happened there. I haven't heard anything quite yet on that topic, but, they got Baron Browning, they got Alexander Johnson, they got Josie Jewell. Plus, Joe Jones is gone. He signed with Tampa Bay. So there's some opportunity there. Justin Sternad, of course, going to compete with Baron Browning to try and see if one of those two can eat into the incumbent starter snaps. We'll see.
And also they signed, today they announced something called PETA. I'm not even going to pronounce that last name, Chad. You can try for yourself. It's at the top there. They signed him and a corresponding roster move. So, yeah, they're good at linebacker. And I think the release of, Curry, I think that was all a numbers game. Maybe an injury, we don't know. But I think it's just they have the depth at linebacker. They have their starters, and they signed a new one to replace him.
It's going to be fun. Things are starting to happen. We get phase 2 now. Phase 3 begins next week. And then we go into the long NFL summer, basically, right? Which is all of June. There's nothing happening. And then you go most of July, nothing happening. Then you get training camp and things just, rocket back into gear. For now, I think we should all, from media to fans alike, really savor the fact that things are happening at UC Health Training Center. We're going to continue breaking them down here on the podcast, whether they're in the building or not, whether they're away for the dog days of the NFL summer or not. As you guys know, there could be a veritable pandemic and maybe no season for all we knew back a year ago. We're still going to keep showing up for you. But guys, we got to break down the Denver Broncos' new front office hire, George Paton's number 2. We're going to get to all that. All right, we're going to get to your topics, your questions, your super chats here in just a moment. First, just a couple of quick matters of business. Make sure you are connected with us on Twitter. The best way, the easiest way to get started with that is connect at Huddle Up Pod, and then also the main account at Mile High Huddle. Our producer, Juana Beast, on Twitter at John K. MHH. My partner, Zack Kelberman, at Kelberman NFL. Myself, at Chad N. Jensen. And then also to make sure you're connected with us, most of you need no reminder to follow the Mile High Huddle Facebook page and connect there. But make sure you're also following the Huddle Up Podcast Facebook page, and it's easy to find. Just open up the app on your phone, search Huddle Up Pod, or there's the link, as you can see on screen, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Tonight, we are going to announce the latest randomly selected winner of some MHH swag. Got to be following and liking the page. It's pretty easy. When you like a page, it automatically you follow. So you don't have to do anything. As long as you like it, you're also following. If you took that additional step to like but not follow, or follow but not like, then you will not be qualified for the random selections here. So that's how you do it. We'll announce the winner of that tonight. Connect over there. And then also check out the merch store, gang. HuddleUpPod.com. Get your swag on. Get a hat. Get a T-shirt. This is the Football Priest hat. You guys have seen it many times. Zach's rocking the MHH dad hat. Hoodies, face masks, tank tops. Lots of different items for men, for women, for teens, for toddlers. We even threw up some stuff for toddlers. So it's another way to support what we're doing here, HuddleUpPod.com. We've seen our great community, Zach, really patronize that store. And I know you hear us say it on this show often. but we are dedicating some creative juice and some dollars into design work to continue to provide cool stuff on the merch store. Find it over at huddleuppod.com. And also, guys, have you become a supporter on Facebook? We've seen the numbers there climb steadily. We appreciate each and every one of you who have become a super supporter on Facebook. It's $5 a month. You get access, not only supporting MHH, all right, but you get access to our premium VIP video and podcast content, which includes Kelberman's Corner every Sunday at noon and the Trickle Zone Saturday at noon. How do you sign up? Go to the main MHH Facebook page, big blue button, become a supporter. Click that. You're in like Flynn. And if you're not in a position to do those things, gang, it's all good. Do these 3 things. Each and every one of you, it is within your grasp to do each of these. Make sure you're subbed. All right, subscribe. Number 2, like this video. That's important if you want to help get this content in front of other Broncos fans like you that are out there ignorant to the fact that there is a community like this waiting to embrace them. Like the video. Crucial if you're on YouTube and Facebook. And number 3 is that litmus test you hear us talk about on the show often. If we're doing a good job for you, or if at the very least you respect the effort, share this video, share this podcast episode out there on your social media channels. Help us continue to grow and reach those new like-minded Broncos fans just like you. All right, Zach, let's talk about, I pull up the article here. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos. We've been wondering ever since George Paton was hired as the new GM. We speculated then, hey, I wonder if maybe he would end up hiring one of the runners up, like a Champ Kelly to be his number 2 in the Broncos front office. And when he has been asked that up until recent times, his answer was always, well, that's something we're going to, I'll look at once we get through the draft, once we get through free agency and all that. Well, that time came. And today, Zach, the Denver Broncos announced the hire of Kelly Kleine. A lot of Broncos fans right now are going, who? Who's Kelly Kleine? Well, she has been hired. That's right. She is now the highest ranking female personnel executive in the NFL and ever. All right. She's the highest. That's really cool to see. The Broncos, this is a professional in Kelly Kleine, Zach. Very interesting. We can go through her bona fides, but she actually started out in Minnesota as a PR intern. All right. For those of you who aren't sure what that means, public relations for the Denver Broncos, that's Patrick Smythe and his great staff over there. She started out as an intern in PR. Now, PR, Zach, in case people don't know this, PR, you're not doing anything on the football operations side. Your job is media. Your job is, dealing with the public arena, fans. That's the realm. Has nothing to do really with what's happening on the field, scouting, pro, college, all that stuff. She got started there, Zach, and then worked her way up over 9 years with Minnesota to the point where George Paton was like, this is who I want to hire as my number 2. So we'll go through some of the bona fides, but what was your gut reaction?
Well, I really do have to commend Denver. They seem every single year in every facet to be just breaking through these glass ceilings in racial issues, social issues. No matter what's going on the field, off the field, they're always kind of setting the bar for the rest of the NFL. So for that, I commend them. I'm not going to speak ill of Kelly Kleine. I don't know too much about her, but I have read her bio. She did work closely with George Paton in Minnesota. She has scouting bona fides. And I think it could be a nice little boon, a nice little right-hand man to have for Paton as he transitions away from the Elway era into his era. And it's like his Matt Russell. It's his just number 2, his deputy assistant to kind of help scouting, help break down some of the responsibilities. I can't hate it too much, Chad. I don't want to speak too much of it, though, because I'm not intimately familiar with her background.
I mean, so often these number 2s that end up getting hired and promoted they're ubiquitous and no one really knows who they are. They're in the background. I mean, you try and search her name, for example, on any of the image sites that we use to get, images, whether it's USA Today or Getty, you're not going to find anything because if you're not the GM, no one's taking pictures of you. And that's just pictures, let alone people, generally speaking, even knowing who you are. Now, in her case, Zach, there was actually quite a bit of PR scrutiny on her in Minnesota because of her relatively fast rise through the personnel ranks there in Minnesota. There are some really cool little features that different national media outlets have done on her, from NBC Sports to others, that you can go and research and find on YouTube. Really interesting story. I mean, she literally learned about the game of football by working there, by time on task, by reps, by being the person that went from being a PR intern to working with scouts and to scouting players and understanding film and understanding, how coverages work and this and that. Right. She started from scratch, and to as someone who never played the game, right? She'll tell you that she never played football. She had to really learn on the fly. She didn't consider herself a football expert. She just loved the game, and she was serious about her career. And so every opportunity she was given in Minnesota, she attacked it with aplomb. And I want to get to what George Paton had to say about her. I want to get to a few more points about her bona fides, but real quick, shout out to Muhammad jumping in early on Super Chat. Appreciate you, my friend. MHH resident male model. What's up, bro? Love you. He says, the CEO and the dragon in the house. Hashtag the beast. Giving a shout out and a tip of the cap to Buana Beast. Muhammad again, dude. It's so much better doing these shows when you're in the chat. So love you, buddy.
I was trying to act like a dragon and no fire came out. We need some CGI, I think, for that.
Yeah. John, come on, dude. Get on that. Go to school. Go to 4 years of technical college so that you can do that for us.
Yeah, okay? So you can give me fire.
Get on that.
In the corner of my mouth.
Let me see here real quick, John. I want to go back to this story here talking about Kelly Kleine. I see that there is Mike 556, Andy Sambam. I'll just say Sambam as well. I don't know if you have access to them, but my stream just jumped. There's Mike. What's up, Mike? Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Really, really appreciate it. Good to see you. If you're on Twitter, make sure you connect with us because we like to be able to tag our superstars, shout you out after each and every show. So thank you, Mike.
Appreciate you.
Then we also have Andy Cowhick. What's up, dude? Good to see you. A guy who has burst onto the scene over the last, I'll just say 2021, and worked his way up to being a bona fide superstar. Love you. Appreciate you. Andy, still wondering when you want to come on the show, my friend? Let us know. He says, what's up, guys? I'm optimistic about the new hire. She has risen up the ranks from intern to front office exec in just 9 years. Sounds like a high potential hire. Hashtag whatever it takes to win. Sounds like Andy watched one of these videos I watched today on YouTube. Maybe you didn't, but that's something she said when she was talking about in this feature. I think it was from 2018. She was talking about how, her learning curve and how much she, had to absorb and assimilate once she started, helping with whether it was putting together cut-ups and finally getting into scouting and stuff like that. She was like, hey, whatever it takes to help the team win. And that's just a mindset, Zach, that you gotta respect and appreciate.
Yeah, I respect anyone who has the work ethic and the drive and the commitment to get to where they want to be. And for her to start out at the bottom of the totem pole and rise to the top of the totem pole or near the top is truly commendable. I want to make just one quick segue point, though, about this hire. People are wondering why it was made now. And I wanted to say this after the draft, but what first-year GMs tend to do is right after the draft, they replace much of, if not all of the scouts in the scouting department. They get their own guys in there. It happens almost every single time with every GM. So this might not be, Chad, the last shoe to drop among the scouting staff or the front office. Paton, as he assimilates himself into Death Valley more and more, he's going to get more of his guys and gals in the building as well.
Do you have Sambam, John? If you do, we'll grab Sambam and then we'll jump back in. Hey, man, appreciate you. You have been active the last couple of weeks. It's been really cool to see, my friend. Keep it up. And we love the question, too. He says, yo, Chad and Zach, what kind of season do you think Bradley Chubb will have? If he does well, do you think he gets a midseason contract extension, or will that be later? I think he has Khalil Mack potential. Yeah, he's been compared to Khalil Mack quite often since he came out of NC State. And what kind of season? Knock on wood. He stays healthy, and I think he will. I think this is a double-digit sack guy, especially having Vaughn back. Together in 2018, let's see, Vaughn had 14.5, Bradley had 12, so that's 26.5 sacks between the two of them. Something similar to that is in store, provided they can both stay on the field.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Toward the end of last year, I mean, it was tough for Chubb to come back from that injury. He started off slowly. He was getting his bearings under him. But once he did, he was the player he was as a rookie. And he ended the season on that note. So, yeah, assuming he stays healthy and Vaughn stays healthy and this defense plays to where we think they can play. He's a double-digit. I wouldn't be surprised. 14, 15 sacks, Pro Bowl, All-Pro. He has that upside. He is that good.
Albert, what's up, my brother? One of our great superstars, one of our great super supporters over on Facebook, settling into his new digs behind enemy lines now in the state of Missouri. Good to see you. His question: I hear some great positive news on Drew Lock's progression. What have you heard of this? I've not heard word one negative from anyone in the building, players, coaches. Now, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity, if there were to be something negative said, Zach, to be said. But so far, all I've heard is positive buzz. It's like a bubbling thing kind of under the surface now that you hope by the time you get to camp and through it, crescendos into something you can sink your teeth into.
Well, there is an opportunity every second of every day on Twitter. And no one has come out condemning Locke or taking shots at him, subtweets at him. The most we saw was people like Jerry Jeudy and Kareem Jackson advocating for Deshaun Watson. But by all accounts, from the linemen to his receivers like Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick, Locke has been, and even George Paton said it, Locke has been in the building almost every single day, working to get better and working to improve on his shortcomings from last year. So by all accounts, he is training like a better quarterback, an improved quarterback, and now he has to put it together on the field when it counts this fall.
Don't worry, guys. We're going to get your questions. John, if you want to throw up Michaela's, we don't want to make Michaela wait any longer than we have to. The Duchess of MHH jumping in every
awesome Duchess
day. Every single day. Love you, Michaela. She says, Michaela, the awesome Duchess in the house. Yes, indeed. Hey, man. That's a moniker we can all sign off on, I think, right? Michaela is one of our superstars, epitomizing awesome.
Yeah, your support and your generosity, Michaela, you have for sure earned that title to your nickname. So you are now and forever known as the awesome Duchess of the Huddle Up podcast.
Let me show you what Michaela and our superstars do, all right? Stand by.
Uh-oh.
This is hold on. Let me do my shtick here. Whoop. All right, this is life with Michaela supporting the cause. All right. This is life without Michaela supporting the cause. She keeps the lights on. All right. Trust. All right. Thanks, Michaela.
That was worth it.
All right. Let me get to this quote from George Paton on the subject of Kelly Kleine as Executive Director of Football Operations and Special Advisor to the GM. Quote, Kelly is a rising star in the NFL, and we're fortunate to add someone of her caliber to the Denver Broncos. Having worked with her for 9 years in Minnesota, Kelly has a strong understanding of all aspects of football operations and player evaluation, along with outstanding leadership qualities. She'll be a tremendous resource with her experience on the pro and college sides, as well as her knowledge of our grading scale and football calendar, close quote. So, Zach, one thing really important here. George Paton rolled with the grading system that John Elway and Matt Russell had established, along with Brian Stark, the director of college scouting. But it sounds like to me, because he didn't want to, he would rather him change, just kind of go by their grades, their grading system, and take what, say his grading scale. I don't even know how it works, but in his case, let's say his grading scale was, if a player was like, top of the line, blue chip guy, that's an A+ grade. Well, the way they do it, nope, that's a 10.0 grade. So he's like, all right, I'm just going to take what I would call it an A+. I'm going to call it for them a 10, whatever. And then now what this points to me, Zach, is this draft is in the books. And by the way, don't be surprised to see some other shifts in the Bronco front office, whether it's incoming people and outgoing people now that the draft is over. If that's going to happen now, the next week or two is about when you're going to see it happen. But this tells me that officially the system that he used that was in place already, even though it had a utility and they got through and had a pretty well lauded draft, they're going to switch back to the one he was comfortable with and used to in Minnesota. And she's going to be a big part in helping to assimilate that for the Broncos.
Exactly. And this could be a giant prelude and a foreshadow to what Paton could do next offseason if Fangio doesn't work out this year, because he's going to get his own guys and gals in the building and get his own coaches, his own scouts, his own right-hand people next to him because it's familiarity. He doesn't necessarily know Brian Stark. He doesn't necessarily know anyone in the Broncos building. They were all foisted upon him. But now that it's his job and his baby and he's given full autonomy. And by the way, does this now prove that it's Paton's team? I mean, there was lingering questioning out there as to whether Elway was pulling the strings from behind. No, Elway is out of the picture. He has an office, and that's about it. It is Paton's team and Paton's operation, and he's going to continue to surround himself with people that think exactly like he does.
He was there today, though, for what it's worth. John Elway showed up today for phase 2 of offseason workouts, but I concur that his, day-to-day finger on the pulse of what's going on, the grind, the operations. That's not his bag anymore. He's the 10,000-foot guy. He's the macro guy. You need something. You need an opinion. If I need to step in on a big issue, you need someone to sign off on this trade package for Aaron Rodgers. I'm that guy. But the grind, that starts with Paton, and that workload also now will be shouldered with Kelly Kleine. Travis, what's up on Facebook? Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, just ready to see our Broncos get back on top, no doubt. One of our great super supporters there, including Brad Murdoch as well. Good evening to you, my friend. Great to have you. So that's Kelly Kleine. I guess there's one last thing, Zach, that I'd like to touch on real quick. Let me just switch over to here. Let me stop the stream on that and go over to the press release we got from the team today. Here's a few other things I want to read about Kelly Kleine. All right. She's going to serve as the primary liaison for the Broncos football operations and maintain significant responsibilities with pro and college scouting. She'll be involved in all aspects of the Broncos personnel department, including player eval, NFL draft, free agency preparations, and day-to-day football administration. All right, she's going to report directly to Paton, and Kleine will oversee the Broncos video and equipment departments while collaborating across many other areas throughout the organization. This is her 10th year in the league. And, of course, all 9 of her previous were spent with the Vikings. And I love this, the fact that she started out as a PR intern and worked her way up. Here's the titles she actually held over those years. She scouted college players from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Montana, and the Dakotas. All right. But here's her actual titles she has held in the league. College scouting director for the Vikings. So Brian Stark, who interviewed, was one of the 5 interviews for the GM job. That's what she did for the Vikings. That's the title she held for the Vikings for 4 years. Scouting assistant back in 2014, scouting administration intern. So she went from being PR intern, her step up was going to being a scouting administration intern, and then her full-time, hey, we're offering you a full gig here aboard the team, Zach, was 2014 when she became a scouting assistant.
Yeah, it's very respectable, and I commend her work ethic, and I congratulate her on getting to where she is right now. But it's not out of the realm of possibility to think the future of the Broncos organization could be Brittany Bolin and Kelly Kleine.
All right, let me see where we are at. We got one from Tom up there in Canada. What's up, bro? Love you. He says, how do you think players will react to a female authority? Look, I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be frank with you. That same feature, I watched a few different features on her today, just trying to learn up on her. And she, in one of them, I can't recall which one, I want to say it was the NBC Sports one, but she talked about how one of the limitations to her gender is that, maybe some of the other scouts or people in the personnel department that are male would have no compunction of, I need to talk to this player about X. I'm going to go ahead and walk into the locker room and talk to him. You can't really do that if you're the opposite gender, just because dudes are walking around. You never know what might be hanging out, right? And so there is, what's the right word, Zach? Ethics. There's I
common courtesy. It's part of it,
Yeah, but that's just not something you don't. It's like Ghostbusters. You don't mix the streams. All right. It's just from a professional perspective. Those are two things you keep separate. Major League, the movie, that was fictional, right? You're not going to see the owner, who was a woman, down in the locker room with the dudes in the jock straps. Other than that, Zach, I see there being zero issue, zero problem with the fact that she is female. And like you said, I think it's commendable. Tip your cap to the Broncos, who continue to strive, I think, to find the best candidates that are allowing them to not only improve the team in the best way possible, but also they're breaking those glass ceilings, and it's, they're setting trends. They're breaking molds in the league. I think that's something Pat Bowlen, the late Pat Bowlen, he's looking down on and smiling about.
Yeah, the only downside is they can't trade for Deshaun Watson now. But
right.
In terms of
it's a joke, people.
Yeah, don't cancel me, guys. In terms of Kleine, though, she's not their boss. George Paton is. So there is not going to have any reaction one way or the other. She's going to do her thing in the front office, assist the GM, and the players are going to react positively or negatively toward him, not her.
And by the way, I just skipped. I think it was Jamal Killing said this. It kind of goes hand in glove, because if Brittany Bowlen ends up truly, emerging victorious in this court battle and ends up getting the, signed off by all the Bowlen children. I've lost count now how many there are. 7? 8? I think there's 8. But if she does, female owner, that's cool too. So you're going to have, I believe it would be, am I missing something here, Zach? Would Brittany Bowlen become the first female sole owner in the NFL? I'm trying
the Bears owner, McCaskey.
Yeah.
And the Titans, Amy Strunk, didn't she own the team before she sold it? So there's been, I think, a couple already. But
that's on the ownership side. But even still, it's cool if that's how it shakes out. Female at the top from an ownership perspective, top lieutenant of the GM, female. And if she does well and the Broncos do well as a team, that's upward mobility for her. And I think it'll allow other NFL teams who might maybe, if there is any skepticism out there about those glass ceiling limitations, to look past them and just simply hire the best people, regardless of gender, for the job.
Yeah, they can be the poster team, not just for the NFL, but for all of sports, to have women leading a charge as ownership potentially and the GM potentially. So I think it's a glass ceiling the Broncos are at the forefront of, while everyone else is down there still hanging out on the floor level.
All right, let me quickly, John, real quick, I want to just check the back end, because we've got a very active chat tonight. I love seeing it. We need Shane Daniels, Shane and Zyka, and then we're current with where I'm at, just FYI. What's up, Shane? Appreciate you, bro. And thank you for doing one of these in the mentions on Twitter and saying, hey, guys, it's me, Shane. This is because, again, guys, I want to remind you so often. In fact, Zach, I would want to say it's probably, 75% of the time, the Twitter account is not the same handle, and it has nothing that you could look at and go, oh, yeah, I recognize that as Shane Daniels on YouTube, as an example. So that's why we're telling you, when you follow your superstar, do one of these in the mentions so we know, hey, that's Shane. We'll follow back, and now we know how to keep tabs and keep in touch with each other. So I'm glad you did that, Shane. He says, Bridgewater is not showing up to OTAs, but Locke is. Do you think this will have an effect on the coach's QB decisions? Hashtag let him hate. Hashtag rooting for Locke. I really don't at this stage. I think whatever those personal reasons he has to tidy up, according to Mike Kliss, I'm using his verbiage, tidying up personal issues. My guess, Zach, is it has something to do with a moving truck, has something to do with packing things up and making a move from East Coast. I mean, in the Carolinas, I'm sure is where he was set up, to the Rocky Mountains, and he probably needs to, tidy up that business. I mean, it's been a whirlwind the last 2 weeks. I mean, what was it? Day before the draft, that was April 29th was the draft. So April 28th was when that trade was consummated. He hasn't had all the time in the world to, get that stuff done. So I imagine it's something to that effect, but that's still me speculating. Whatever it is, the coaches know exactly what's going on. They've approved it. When he gets back, I think Vic Fangio going to stay true to what he set up to this point, and you're going to see the Broncos really kind of force a close to 50-50 rep split, even those guys like Zach and I question the wisdom of that. It seems like they're hell-bent to do that.
Oh, boy. I hope not another Henry Ruggs incident while he's moving, getting pinned between moving trucks. It has to be some veritable excuse. Otherwise, you want him there absorbing the reps, because Locke's been in the system. He knows the playbook. He knows his teammates. Bridgewater knows nothing of that. And your head coach just declared a 50-50 open competition, and you're not going to be there for the first practice. So he better have an excuse. He better either hopefully not be hurt or family emergency, something, Chad, because if he's just not showing up voluntarily, not the greatest look, but again, voluntary. If he's not there for the mandatory practices next month, then we'll be concerned.
Shout out to Tyler on Twitter. Appreciate you, bro. Glad to have you with us. Let him hate indeed. Zyka, what's going on, my friend? Always great having you in the chat. He says, appreciate you guys as always. I know it's just some early practice throws, but Locke looks done with the BS, laser focused, so hyped for this year. Very interesting topic you bring up there about looking focused. We've heard that, Zach, from multiple guys, players, right, this offseason, from Tim Patrick to Cortland Sutton last week. And then yesterday, Keith Cummings published an article that was very, very interesting, Zach. I'm going to pull it up here. That, we've got our eyes and our feelers. That's why you guys read at milehighhuddle.com, because instead of trying to keep up with all the different channels out there that might be covering the Denver Broncos, that, a player shows up on this podcast and says something noteworthy or this and that, we're going to catch all that stuff. We're the eyes and the ears. Where our ear is low to the floor. And in this case, it paid dividends for Broncos country, because Keith found this interview. Let me pull up a quote here. Melvin Gordon, all right, talking about Drew Lock, all right, and talking about just overall his mindset, what he's seeing, what he's hearing. Quote, I think them bringing Teddy here, giving Drew that competition. That now this was on the let me credit. This is the NFL Total Access Locker Room podcast. Quote, I think them bringing Teddy here, giving him that competition, says Melvin Gordon, I think that's really going to bring out the best in Drew. I think we are definitely going to see another Drew, another side of him. I think we just are going to see more confidence. I can tell in meetings already that he's taking on that. You can see it. You can see it. Like just the way he talks, you can tell the confidence. He's been battling. It's just like he hears the noise, Gordon said. And he's talking about the negativity, the criticism, and then all the rumors, every quarterback under the sun, Broncos getting tied to. We all like to say, talking about players, we all like to say that we're ignoring it, but we hear it. We hear it. And he hears it. I think he's just got to get over that, man. He's got the swagger. He's got the confidence. He's fearless out there. He's not afraid to chance it and give a guy an opportunity. So, Zach, Melvin Gordon is, in fact, confirming what Zyka is saying here about a newly laser-focused Drew Lock.
Let's pull up that video that we were talking about, Chad, at Lock at practice today, give the viewers some sort of visual confirmation. But I really do like and appreciate the Gordon's honesty here. He's saying we pretend like we're ignoring it, but we actually hear it. We actually know what's being said. We read the press clippings. We're on Twitter. We're human beings like everybody else. I wasn't expecting Melvin to go there. I thought it'd be more cliches and kind of just platitudes, but he's saying and furthering the same thing we've heard from every other player this offseason. Drew is focused. He's getting better. He has that it factor. They can't put their finger on that word because there is no word for it. It's the it factor, and Locke has demonstrated that. It might not come out all the time. It certainly was hit or miss last year, but he's doing something behind the scenes where he's grabbing attention. He has that allure to him. He has that draw. He's magnetic in that sense where he's a tough worker. He loves, eats, sleeps, and breathes football, and he's trying his hardest to take the mantle as the Broncos' potential franchise quarterback. And if he wasn't doing that, if he wasn't going above and beyond or impressing outright with his arm, we wouldn't be hearing these things. We'd be hearing more about the number 2 guy on the roster, Teddy Bridgewater.
For what it's worth, I just ran the video and it plays ads. And so because of that, I don't want the algo bots stomping on us on Facebook especially. So here's what I'll do. I'll show you guys. We're going to have an article up here, if not tonight in the morning, covering this. But you can find it on the Broncos Twitter, this video that shows a few clips and highlights. Look at him, dude. Brand new haircut. All right. Let me blow this up a little. I'm not going to play it just because I don't want the algo bots getting after us. But look at him. I mean, does this look like a serious person to you? Okay. This dude's serious, bro. Check out his haircut. All right. This guy's high and tight, Zach.
He looks slim too. I don't think he's eating, Chad.
He's a man about his business.
Yep.
All right. This is a man on the come. This is a man on the rise. You know, he's got a legend to create for himself. If it's going to happen, it's going to be this year. Man, I really wish I could show it to you guys, but I just don't. I don't want. I still, Zach, I think, am traumatized from the draft last year.
Can you drag the cursor and we can see it like one of those old
a picture show?
Yeah.
Let's see what it looks like. Stand by, y'all. Whoops.
It wasn't much, guys. It's on Twitter, but it's in practice and he looks pretty good. So there we go. There's always a loophole. Look at that focus.
Bada bing, bada bang, complete. Jerry Jeudy caught,
and he caught it.
All right.
It's all coming together.
So anyway, check that out. Michaela says, and thank you again, Michaela. I heard Locke has been displaying new footwork and a stance, like a Manning type stance. Any thoughts? Hadn't really heard that yet as far as anything Manning related. Have you heard that, Zach? I mean, I haven't. But I haven't like poured over what little clips there are so far of that today's practice. I haven't. So, but I think there's a certain point where some of the bad technical flaws in his game, like the footwork, you can refine it to a point. But by the time players get to the NFL, from throwing motions to footwork, that the amount that they can actually work those things out, it's pretty negligible. So Drew is what he is for the most part. I think, though, it's like I shared a cut-up clip today, Zach, of his highlights from 2020, from the 2020 season on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, look at all this. Drew Lock really does suck. I mean, look at all these plays he was making. And, of course, it doesn't show the negative things and the doldrums that he reached, especially in the middle of the season. But still, this dude was really – he had some really nice plays that make you sit up in your chair and go, "Dak gum." But one thing I kept noticing, Zach, so many of the big plays that he had last year, just from that one highlight cut-up, fading back off his back foot. But then it's a strike, and you're like, hey, can't hate on it because he connected, and it was a big play, and it worked out. And you can try and nitpick and go, well, if he steps into the throw, maybe he leads the guy, and it's a touchdown. And then you roll back the tape. Oh, no, he did lead the guy. So some of that stuff is just baked into what Drew Lock is. You're not going to change it all that much. I think if he brings together, Zach, the between the ears stuff, the technical flaws with his footwork and stuff like that, it's not going to be as pronounced. It's not going to be as much of an issue, if at all, because, that's really the biggest limitation for Drew from the time he entered the league till now is between the ears, And a big part of that, too, last thing I want to throw this over to you, a big part of that is learning how to walk that razor's edge of being a competent, trustworthy game manager, and also a guy who can make a big play, unafraid to take a chance. As Melvin Gordon said, he's not afraid to give guys a chance to make a big play and take risks. You got to know when and how and where to be able to make those decisions. Some truly talented, absolutely gifted football players. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, we joke about him, but he was a guy that was just as ridiculous. I mean, he could be sitting on his butt at the 20-yard line and throw it through the uprights opposite of the field. This guy was just a raw, ridiculous talent. But those type of finesse, intellectual parts of mastering your craft, it just never came to him. And that's not to say he didn't have the football IQ to do it. I'm sure he did. He just wasn't locked in. Now, in Drew's case, I hope that he will. I hope he gets to that point because that's the only thing. That's the last little like gear in the clockwork of what Drew is that needs to fall into place. And then you get that player that all fans, this time last year, you rewind the tape, that was the player fans were hoping he could be.
We always talk about molding or using clay for these players or quarterbacks, but you can't change certain things about the clay itself. You can't change the consistency, the color. So you're not going to root out the backyard football mentality from Locke completely. You can coach him to be better, to be more aware, to make smarter decisions for the most part, but you're never going to remove the gunslinger from him and make him Alex Smith. That was what Pat Shurmur tried to do last year, and that's why we all saw the offense take a step back from Scangarello. On the other hand, though, when he's talking to Peyton Manning, what else is Peyton going to tell him? I mean, obviously he's the best quarterback, one of them of all time. Arm talent's not an issue. Love of the game's not an issue or commitment. It's his footwork and it's the technical aspects. So I happen to think maybe Manning's not honing in on it, but I'm sure that was a topic of conversation, his footwork and being a better quarterback overall and just being cognizant of your footwork, being aware of where you are in the pocket, where the people are around you, your first reads, your second reads, the cerebral aspect of the game, Chad, because no one was ever or will ever be more cerebral than Peyton effing Manning.
Word. Mike, what's up? Another super chat. Appreciate you, bro. He says, I believe in Locke, and I will root hard for him. That's cool, bro. By the way, and thank you, dude. Seriously, Mike. And we're
Duck.
right there with you. We're right there with you. Real quick, John, I'm seeing this. This is really weird. Let me show you something real quick. Where'd it go? Where's BNS? BNS is like, hey, it's like 6:48. He's like, where are the guys, dude? What's going on? At 6:48. I'm like, bro, we've been live. We were a little late tonight. We got started at like 6:18, I think, or 6:20, something like that. 6:20. But he's saying that, John, at like 6:48. So maybe he had like a delayed version of the stream. I don't know. All right, John, we got a very, very generous super from Casey Nickel. Do you have Casey queued up? Let's grab Casey. Casey has really come on strong lately, man, and it just means the world to us. You want to talk about helping keep the lights on? Casey's doing that. Love you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Casey, look, you see? That's what you do for us.
That's right. Keeping the lights on. He says, yo, what? Locke looks lean, mean, and focused. That was an amazing catch by Judy. LOL. Yeah. So it's good, man. And, hey, look, man, Drew's not losing any sleep over Teddy not being there. Now, look, it's individual drills, non-contact, no 11 on 11. But still, he's getting those reps, and he needs as many as he can get. Any young player entering year 3, whether you're already an established stud like Lamar last year in year 3 or Patrick Mahomes or Baker Mayfield, any of those, I mean, you need all the reps you can get. And so it's good to see Drew getting the lion's share right now. But we know Teddy's coming. Teddy's going to come push him. And I think what we're seeing so far, just that look in his eyes, Zach, like he's in the zone, like he's ready to throw down.
But the flip side to this, it's good for Judy, too, to get these reps to improve on his hands and become a better player because it's more than one component. Obviously, quarterback is the most important, but you need the receivers to catch. You need the line to block. You need the running backs to run. You need the coaches to have a good game plan and to call good games. So when all those things come together, the Broncos offense will be where it should be, but that includes Judy cleaning up the drop issues. And the more reps he gets with Locke or any quarterback right now is going to make him a better player too. So I'm encouraged all around from that aspect.
All right, John, you got Christian? I'm looking on the back end here because my stream just jumped. What's up, Christian? He says, you guys should pull up Cortland's mic'd up on Twitter. Hey, I would love to be able to do that. For those of you wondering why we don't do it, all right, is there's copyright legalities we have to be careful about because this is something we monetize, right? We're monetized on YouTube, we're monetized on Facebook, and that content by the team, by the NFL is monetized. So unless you have rights to the content like CBS Sports, NBC, ABC, ESPN, NFL Network, those are the big networks the NFL contracts with to, great billions of dollars, right? I mean, it's huge nut. And so they're very, very protective of that stuff. We made the big mistake. I did. It was my fault. When we streamed the first round of the draft in 2020 and we ran the whole television broadcast, like it was just dumb. And we ended up suffering some pretty gnarly consequences from it. On YouTube, we got an actual copyright strike. Now, YouTube hit us too, but it wasn't a strike. It was just like, hey, thanks for the content. Whatever, revenue you generated on the stream, it's going to the people who own the content, own the stuff you were streaming. Facebook locked us out, locked me and Zach out. We're the admins on our Facebook page, locked us out for a week. And so I'm now very, 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 very reluctant to run anything like that might, get us into hot water on a live stream. So for those of you wondering, go find it at Broncos on Twitter. You can see Court being mic'd up.
Yeah, big tech doesn't play around. But let me tell you something. I saw that video of Cortland Sutton, and I had goosebumps on my arms. It's so good to see him back on the field and hopefully getting back to being a top 10 receiver. I missed watching him desperately last year.
Indeed. All right, let me see here. And you're right, dude, real quick. That's something I want to talk about. How nice was it? John's got a picture queued up here. We can show the picture. That's fine. How nice is it to see Cortland Sutton out there running around? And just like this morning, Zach, they shared a quick clip the Broncos Twitter did of him just chopping it up with his teammates, high-fiving Tim Patrick, high-fiving Jerry Jeudy. And it's just a solid feeling, man. You're just like, all right, the gang's all here. The band is back together. Let's go write a Grammy award-winning record and tour the world and sell millions of copies. Blues Brothers, let's go. We're getting the band back together. That's what it feels like seeing Cortland back out there. And, of course, He's only, let's see, September to October, October, November, November, December, December, January, January, February, February, March, March, April, April, May. So he's 8 months. He's in his 8th month since suffering that ACL. So it's good to see him running.
It is, but can we lose that Alex Smith type of contraption on his leg? I mean, he's 8 months removed from ACL surgery. It's not that significant anymore with technology. I hope he's going to lose that brace soon, but regardless, it's so good to see him out there running, and that's just a monumental upgrade and addition to the Broncos offense. For whoever's quarterbacking this year, the guy is just a stud with a capital S.
All right, let me see here. John, by the way, shout out. I'm an effing problem on Twitch. Love our great community that is starting to really blossom over there on Twitch. It's really cool to see. Really cool to see. Appreciate each and every one of you enjoying the show over there. We're going to be doing more fun stuff with Twitch as it continues to grow there. So stay tuned for that. All right, real quick here. I'm just looking, John. Do you have Brian and BNS? We need Brian and BNS. And then I think we're actually we're current if we got Brian and BNS. Brian again, that's 2 nights in a row for Brian Carrasco. Thank you, Brian. Connect on Twitter. We want to keep the conversation going over there. He says, I am going to the Cowboys game. Who will win? Zach, of course, for those of you who don't know, Zach has 2 jobs in the league. He's covering the Denver Broncos here at Mile High Huddle and on the Huddle Up podcast. He also covers the Dallas Cowboys for Heavy.com, so he knows a thing or two about this particular matchup. What's your answer for Brian?
Well, I'm going to take a page out of Fangio's playbook and flip a coin. This is a true 50-50 game for the Broncos. If their offense comes to play, they can get on that defense and they can put up some points to do some damage. But Dak Prescott is a much better quarterback than people give him credit for, and I think he's going to come back with a vengeance, with a capital V this season. I'm talking comeback player of the year, Pro Bowl, 4,000 yards. That offense is going to be a problem even for Denver's defense. It's an early game on the road at Dallas and Jerry World. That's never an easy challenge for the Broncos, especially in the early window. This is my short answer to this question. We did a whole, by the way, guys, on KK yesterday, schedule breakdown of every non-divisional game. Go check that out if you haven't already. It's a true coin flip, though. If the Broncos offense comes to play, they can really score 35, potentially 30 points on that defense. But if they don't, that Dallas offense will get some points on the board, and it could be tough for them to come back from that.
Yeah, it really, I mean, as Dak Prescott goes, so goes the Dallas Cowboys. That's the story for every NFL team under the sun. You need your quarterback to do what your quarterback is supposed to do, and if they do, more often than not, that means you're probably having a relatively successful season. This is one of those matchups where, there's so many question marks at quarterback. It's hard to say, for both teams. You don't know if Drew's going to turn the corner. You don't know if it's going to end up being Teddy. You don't know if Dak's fully going to come back. I happen to believe that he will, but still, you just don't know. And until we get a little bit closer, it's hard to tell. But, hey, it's cool to see. By the way, Brian, you're going to be at the Cowboys-Broncos game. But let me tell you, the game you should be circling on the schedule is Week 3 in Denver, because that's where we're going to be hoisting the MHH banner, all right, and doing a meet and greet. We're going to do some tailgating. We're going to do some live podcasting with whoever's there with us. It's going to be a gas. So we want to see as many of you there as possible.
And I see some comments, too, that kind of calling out my prediction because the Dallas secondary is so bad. It's true the defense was historically bad last year, but they've made some additions to that. They have Micah Parsons they drafted. They drafted Jabril Cox. They have Trevon Diggs coming back. I mean, it's really not the worst defense in the world, especially after this offseason with a new coach in charge and Dan Quinn. Again, it's going to come down to the Broncos offense in this game. If they can score some points, I like their chances. But if they settle for field goals against Dak Prescott, Zeke, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, it's going to be a tough afternoon in Dallas.
Let's see here. Let's grab this from Jay Roper. So to chat, when you compare Locke to John Elway, I know you mean career, but do you think Drew has the arm or athleticism that Elway had? No, I don't. I think he has a strong arm, Drew. Like, he has a plus arm. I mean, I would say there's maybe, I don't know, half dozen Qs in the league today that have a more live arm than Drew. But John Elway was a unicorn among unicorns. I mean, he was the most coveted quarterback of his era. And it's not just because he did well on the field. It was because of those traits and the tools that he had. I mean, go back and watch, if you're my age, right, from my age demographic, you don't need to go back and watch tape. You can remember, you lived through it, you watched the games. But for those of you who didn't, or might need a reminder, go turn on some of the tape of Elway from 86. I mean, at any point, 83, let's say, when he entered the league, to early 90s, all right, when he was still in his prime window. There's that one clip, Zach, you've probably seen it, of the Denver Broncos facing the Seattle Seahawks, who, of course, used to be in the AFC and used to be in the Denver Broncos division, so they faced him twice a year. There's a clip of John Elway dropping back, and the blitz gets to him immediately. And he ducks down head first, all right, and the blitzing safety, who's like 240 pound, maybe not that big, 220 pound safety, all right, comes out to tackle him. Elway goes low like this, and just with the pure torque and power of his upper body, come and just ducks him. The dude just goes, he can't hold on, goes flying over. Elway, bam, on a rope, 60-something yards to Shannon Sharp, over two dudes. That's just the type of raw force of nature, athletic prowess that Elway brought to the table. And Drew, he's like I don't even want to say he's an Elway light in terms of that athletic prowess. Jay Cutler was an Elway light in terms of his raw ability. Now, he didn't have it up here the same way Elway did, as far as just being that dedicated pro, competitor's competitor. But still, he was more on Elway's level as far as tools and traits. That doesn't take anything away from Drew. Drew's a very talented young quarterback, but to compare him to a unicorn, he ain't that.
That play was actually just on Twitter, and what's so impressive about it, not just him juking off the blitzing defender, was it wasn't even an arc-type pass. It was just a frozen rope 60 yards down the field, perfectly in stride. That's the thing. It doesn't take anything away from Locke, but you can't compare them because Elway was just historically good. It's why he's a Hall of Famer. It's why he's one of the best to ever do it, and Locke just isn't there yet. It's not a knock on Locke. It's just a fact.
You know who's on the level with Elway? Chad Kelly. Just ask him. I'll never forget, dude, when he showed up as Mr. Irrelevant, right? And he appeared his first actual exposure to Denver media, because, you don't hold press conferences for 7th-round picks. He did a guest. He showed up on, I want to say it was The Drive, back when Big Al was still there with Darren McKee, with D-Mac, on 104.3 The Fan. And somewhere about halfway through the conversation, you can Google it and find it, 2017, right? Halfway through the conversation, I think it's Al actually that asks him, who are, he brings up a bunch of different Hall of Fame studs, including Elway, including Brett Favre, including a few different guys, who would you compare yourself, including his uncle, Jim Kelly, Hall of Famer, right? Who would you compare yourself to? And actually, now that I think about it, I'm not sure Al did lead him that way. Who would you compare yourself to in terms of some of the all-time cues? And he's like, yeah, Elway, Favre. Yeah, I'm like those guys. And I was like, man, you got to love the confidence and whatnot. But that's the living legend in his own mind that Chad Kelly was. And, hey, man, more power to him. More power to him.
Yeah, good old swag.
Rage Against the Machine. Yes, Rage Against the Algo Bots. BNS, what's up, bro? Hopefully your stream's on timeline where it needs to be. Love you, buddy. Locke is the guy, and we'll be baking some serious pies. Agreed. I really do. My gut is telling me that. Sometimes my gut's wrong. We don't have a crystal ball. We're football priests. We're not football sorcerers. My gut's telling me Drew's going to have a really impressive bounce back type of year and silence a lot of those haters. But only time will tell.
Yeah, BNS, if you need some distribution for those crow pies, hit me up. I'm your man. I'll be happy to dish those out like the baker that I am.
Tom, what's up again, bro? Even Sutton said today that it was nice to hear Drew calling a play. He's a Locke believer. Yes, he is. Yep, he is. And, I mean, last week we heard him talk about the same thing, that Drew's in the zone. He's going to have a year. It's going to be fun to see. All right, Zach, we're at 58 minutes here. Let me just see on the back end if we missed anybody. I don't think we did. Here's one from EA Shalom on YouTube. Interesting. Who are some quarterbacks who've been in a battle after being the man who have gone on to win a ring? Let me think back through recent times.
I don't get the question though.
So a guy that was a quarterback incumbent and then had to then kind of rebattle for his job
and then win it and then win a title.
Yeah, and then goes on. Maybe like the journeyman guys, the Brad Johnsons, the Trent Dilfers. Those are the guys you go to. But in terms of like bona fides,
what about Big Ben? Tommy Maddox. I think he took his job and never looked back, but I'm just trying to.
Yeah. Ben vanquished Tommy in 2005, 2005, never looked back. Eli, I don't recall Eli ever actually losing his job after they turned the keys over to him. Got rid of Kurt Warner.
The thing is, though, the teams that win the titles don't usually have quarterback competitions, so it's not that prevalent.
I would say the guy off the top of my head that most closely approximates the answer he's searching for here is actually Kurt Warner, but he didn't quite win it again. He came close in that Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl. I mean, if it wasn't for just a miraculous catch by Santonio Holmes in the end zone, he does complete that circle, and he actually beats Paton to that distinction of being the first quarterback to win a ring as a starter with two different teams. Tom Brady now joins Peyton Manning as the only two Qs to do that. And of course, he almost got there, did Kurt Warner.
That's a really interesting question, though.
All right, we are about out of time. John, I want to just really quickly circle back and shout out our Facebook peeps. So bear with me one sec. And I think there's one or two more. Eric, what's up, Eric? Good to see you, buddy. He says, and are you on Twitter, Eric? I was looking for you the last time I saw you in the super chat, and I couldn't find you. So if you're on Twitter and you're connected, do one of these in our mentions. And if you're not, connect with us there, dude. He says, I appreciate the level-headed commentary from you cats. Talking in absolutes about Locke is nuts after 18 games to me. It will be way sweeter to watch a guy we drafted win some playoff games than a rental. Careful, Eric, because according to the haters out there, all we do is gush about Drew, and we offer no pragmatic insight on the topic whatsoever.
Yeah, he can do no wrong. He's the best quarterback of all time. He's going to retire a Bronco in 25 years from now and get a statue in front of Mile High Stadium. So that's Drew Lock, and we're talking in absolutes about him. But it's true, Eric. It's such a small sample size, especially for a young quarterback in the NFL. He didn't have a full rookie season. Last year was cut short due to various factors, and we're just looking for him to get a fair shot in his third year. And if he doesn't do well with that shot, he deserves to be yanked. It's really, really simple.
Shout out to our top Facebook superstar senders tonight, from Travis to Gary Leeds Palmer. Every single day is Gary Leeds Palmer. Travis is close. He's right there nipping at the heels. Travis, though, I know you're a super supporter. You're subscribed on Facebook. We're not seeing you in the actual live chats, dude. Make sure you put that on your calendar. Put it on your phone. Anyone who uses a calendar nowadays, we use it on our phones. Sunday at noon, we want to see you in Kelberman's Corner. Saturday at noon, we want to see you in the Trickle Zone on Facebook for supporters only. And then, of course, Jerry, what's up, dude? Thank you for the stars, each and every one of you. We do appreciate it. But, Zach,
I think got some new ones, too, it looks like, too, from Sean. So we appreciate you.
Oh, wait. We got one from Brian. We got two or three more, and then we'll get out of here, including Dale jumping in from the top rope from Paradise. Stoked to talk to Dale. Brian, what's up again, buddy? Who do you think would be the third wide receiver? Hamler? He's probably trying to float Hamler. Here's how I see it unfolding, Zach. You tell me if I'm wrong. Sutton, Judy, Patrick, Hamler. And I think Patrick and Hamler are going to be pretty evenly intermixed in terms of the three wide sets.
Right.
Because Patrick, he's a boundary guy, but he's crafty enough. In fact, I was reminded of that today watching those cut-ups of Locke from 2020. There was a lot of big plays and touchdowns from Tim Patrick running routes inside and then flaring out, whether he's going in motion pre-snap or whatever. So it's the top two, Sutton, Judy, and then it's kind of, I think, going to be a 50-50 split as far as that third guy on the field. Leaning, though, if there is a favorite that the coaches would want to anoint and kind of give the benefit of the doubt, it's going to be KJ Hamler because he's the second-round pick 1 year removed.
Judy can also play inside and outside too, so I wouldn't worry too much about titles. The best receivers are going to play, and the best three or four receivers are the ones that Chad just laid out there.
Dale in the house. What's up, bro? Thank you so much. Seriously, very generous super chat.
Thank you.
Keeping the lights on at MHH. What's going on, dude, in Paradise? We had Kiaka. Who was it? Who was the other superstar from –
Dale? Well, of course, Dale, but
last night? Who was it? Who was the other superstar from Paradise? Who was the other superstar from Paradise? Dale? Well, of course, Dale, but last night. Dale? Who was the other superstar from Paradise? Dale? Well, of course, Dale, but last night. someone else from Hawaii. Either way, forgive me, I can't recall. John's probably right now going, it's this guy. Dale, dude, what's going on? He says, what's up, Broncos country? Can't wait for things to heat up. I have a good feeling about this season. Sorry to be late, but just wanted to say what's up. Hey, cue ball, hats off, dude. Hats off to you, my friend. Love you. Appreciate you. 11th hour is better than not showing up at all.
Yeah. Thank you, Dale. We hope you're having a great night tonight. Appreciate you as always.
We have a good feeling, too, for what it's worth. All right, we got to get going, but we got to shout out Seth Harmon for the super sticker, also at the 11th hour. And there it is, giving us the thumbs up. Appreciate you, bro. Really do. But, guys, that's got to do it, excuse me, for tonight's episode of the Huddle Up Podcast. Thank you for giving us, whether you were with us for a minute or the entire hour and 5, we really value and appreciate each and every one of you and your time. It's always the highlight of our day, being able to plug in and engage with you guys. Greg Smith, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you, buddy. So, hey, we're off tomorrow night. Smash the like button, as Dale said. Guys, do it right now. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, smash the like button. I'm told, Zach, we don't use that phraseology enough, the whole smash the like button thing.
Yeah.
All right. We'll pander. Smash the like button, y'all. Okay, we need you. It's going to help get this content in front of other Broncos fans. But we're off tomorrow night. We'll be back Wednesday night. And who do we have Wednesday night? I think it's Tyler.
It is.
We have Tyler
He reached
Randall.
out to us on Twitter, yeah. Excited to have him on.
It's going to be fun. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll have some media availability between now and then. We'll get to hear from some players. But, Zach, sign us on out of here, bro, and have a good start to your week.
You as well, and John, you as well, and thank you for every single one of you in the chat. Be sure to follow the Huddle Up Pod at Huddle Up Pod on Twitter. You can follow the mother account at Mile High Huddle. You can follow Chad at Chad and I always do that.
I'm the one that screwed that up.
Always do that. John, you deserve the shout out. Follow our wonderful producer, John K, at John K MHH. You can follow Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL. Be sure to check out the Huddle Up Pod store at huddleuppod.com and get yourself a hat, a shirt, anything you want, anything that tickles your fancy is up there. Guys, I promise you, if you're not a subscriber, go to facebook.com/milehighhuddle, click the big blue button, and you're in. Kelberman's Corner on Sunday at noon, Trickle Zone Saturday at noon, premium content. We go a little longer, a little deeper, a little more fun. It's a different flavor. I promise you'll enjoy it. But even if you can't do any of those things, we understand and we appreciate you still. Just subscribe, like, and share. It helps us grow and reach new people. We appreciate it more than you know.
I almost forgot to announce let me make sure I got the name spelling right. Yep. The winner of tonight's swag giveaway. As someone who is both following and liking the Huddle Up Podcast Facebook page, let me make sure I got the spelling right. And where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Yep, I got it. Okay, so if you guys want in on this, all you got to do is like and follow, and it could be your name drawn out of the hat. Tony Raines, congrats. Thank you for following the page and liking the page. Send us an email, milehighhuddle@gmail.com. We'll get your shipping address, your T-shirt size, and we'll send you out a little thank you. So, Tony Raines, congrats to you, my dog. Don't forget to send us that email, and we'll get you your T-shirt out.
We have a last-minute super from Sam, $10 super. Appreciate you so much, Sam, at the buzzer. He goes, I truly think the potential we thought Locke had after 2019 will be relevant this year. 2020 was a crazy BS year. You got that right. I fully believe we will have our franchise quarterback for the next 15 years in Locke. Sam, I love the optimism. I'm right there with you in the Locke fandom. I don't know about guaranteeing 15 years with Drew, but I will take at least 2021 and go from there. I'm confident he will prove a lot of the haters wrong, Chad, and make a lot of people eat that nasty, disgusting crow in 2021.
Get your sriracha ready, gang. Get it ready if you're in the boo bird section of the Drew Lock haters. If you have been afflicted by that devious, virulent bug known as Lock derangement syndrome, stock up right now on sriracha, because you're going to need it to choke down that pie, that crow pie he hinted at there. So,
vaccine's coming, folks.
It's coming. It's coming. It's going to come in the form of dubs, all right? All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks, everybody. Love you.